We've got some exciting news for all you Marvel maniacs out there.
That's right. We're inviting you to join our exclusive Marvel Movie Minute membership program.
For just $5 a month or $55 a year, you'll gain access to a world of marvelous perks that will make you feel like you've been hit with a dose of super soldier serum.
As a member, not only will you get bad puns like that, you'll also get your own private podcast feed delivering early, ad-free episodes straight to your ears faster than Thor's hammer flying back to his hand.
And members also get access to periodic bonus episodes exclusively for our most dedicated fans. Consider it your own personal Jarvis for Marvel movie content.
Plus, you'll gain entry to our exclusive Discord community, where you can chat with other Marvel fanatics just like you. It's like you're assembling your very own team of Avengers.
Most importantly, by becoming a member, you'll be directly contributing to the show you love and helping us keep Marvel Movie Minute running strong. We value your support more than all the vibranium in Wakanda.
We can't thank you enough for being part of our journey through the MCU. You're the Pepper Potts to our Tony Stark, always there by our side.
You're the arc reactor to our Iron Man suit, the Heimdall to our Thor, the horny jokes to our Deadpool.
The gamma radiation to our Bruce Banner.
Well, maybe not that one.
I'm sorry.
So what are you waiting for? Don't be like Hawkeye, always getting left out of the action.
Head over to truestory.fm/join and become a member today.
Join us, and together we'll explore the Marvel Cinematic Universe like never before.
Step up to the streets and become the hero of your own story.
Excelsior, true believers. With your support, we'll make this membership program a smash hit. Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Do you like movies?
Do you like sports?
I never played that sport on the screen, but I really enjoyed how the movie made me feel.
Well then, have we got a show for you. The Adrian Moment is where my friend Ocean and I discuss the triangulation of sports, movies, and life.
We dive deep into the movies, discussing how they relate to and have affected our lives.
We will talk about why the sport matters to the movie, why you don't have to love the sport to enjoy the movie, and mine a few nuggets of meaning inside the story you may not have realized was really there.
After listening to our show, come join us for more conversations about the movies that portray the thrill of victory
and the agony of defeat.
Find the Adrian Moment podcast on your favorite podcast app and join us while we cover the sports you love and the ones you never think about.
You will never see sports or sport movies the same again.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait, I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a weekly podcast in which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 5-minute segments and then examine them in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Storywell podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Kubasko, and Kyle.
Yes, Rob.
Did you know that a hollow cylinder of wood or plastic, commonly referred to as the relay baton, was introduced in 1893 as a crucial part of modern relay races? The concept of passing a message stick or torch between runners originated in ancient Greece, and the first modern relay races were organized by the New York Fire Service in the 1880s. Perhaps, Kyle, it is time for us to pass our little Christmas-adorned arc reactor onto a colder, darker world.
That's right, because we're not here to discuss Iron Man 3 from 2013, but instead we are going forwards in time, but also backwards, because the events of the next film take place before the events of the movie we just covered? What's going on here? I don't know. You and I cannot solve this problem.
We're not qualified for this.
We are not qualified for this.
No.
Yeah, this Ethereum. I don't understand what's going on. So we're going to need. We're the tech guys. So we're going to need to hand this off to people who are much more equipped to deal with the mysticism and the wildness that is Asgard. And so we are here to help introduce the new hosts of the Marvel Movie Minute for Thor: The Dark World. Would our mystery hosts please identify themselves?
Well, I have to say, now that the extreme responsibility has been explained to us, Pete, I have a concern. Because if you note, the current hosts are both epically blessed in terms of facial follicle growth. And
Yes,
while
they
you
are.
and I are neither of us is clean shaven. Both of us are what I would refer to as trimmed, whereas we have in our current hosts a beard that goes down and a beard that goes out.
Yes.
And I believe, therefore, at least one of us needs to take on the challenge.
Oh, okay. And in fact, it was just 2 days ago as we record this that I went down to my summer shearing. I have less than ever of the hirsute wonder.
Because I utterly refuse to discuss the topic of time travel, as has been discussed on my own podcast many times, I'm going to take that part of the baton that Kyle and Rob have given us, drop it in the sand so that it may be pissed upon by all and sundry who recognize that time travel is dumb, and simply say thank you that we will be taking over now, and we will be discussing Thor: The Dark World. Because, friends, if you don't think this is a good movie, well, come and listen to us, because we don't think it's a good movie either, but we think there's a lot of fun things to discuss. I'm Matthew Fox, the ethical panda, who Pete is deeply resenting having picked as a co-host.
Look, not at all. I'm not resenting it at all, but it lays the groundwork. Your grudgery right now lays the groundwork for my very first question in the spirit of the handoff. So while you're busy urinating on a relay baton, I'd like to ask Kyle and Rob, we happen to have what I understand is a split that is very similar to yours in how you have covered Iron Man 3. One of you likes and appreciates the movie, and the other I haven't heard the end of the series, but my hunch is you don't. You have not been swayed. Matthew and I, weirdly, we thought we were coming in absolutely in agreement, and then I ended up, one of us, let's just say one of us, I'm not going to cut that out. One of us ended up liking the movie more than they remembered. How do you feel like
That's a very
it went?
low bar, though. Let's be honest, Pete, because I don't want to. I think, if I understand it correctly, right now it is the taste touches my lips and I spit it out. The taste touches your lips and you're willing to grimace and swallow it down.
I want to see how soon before I feel intoxicated. That's what I'm doing. I'm just testing.
The power of Asgardian mead. I'm going to go first on this because Rob has a pretty good take on this. So I'm gonna set up and then I'm going to let him follow through, because we had sort of been talking about like what happens next and what happens. I'm not a huge fan of those. I don't think it's the worst of the MCU movies, but it's also one I don't go back and revisit, which is sort of my litmus test. There is a lot of good in it. But I think there's some great Loki stuff happens in it. There's some great. This is pretty much the only time that Asgardians who aren't Odin, Thor, and Loki get to do anything. Because after this, they're pretty much just shunted off to the side or murdered without even having a single line of dialogue. I mean, this is sort of the only time we get to see Asgard in its glory before, spoiler alert, people, the movie's called Thor Ragnarok coming down the line. The things don't go well for Asgard in any version of a Ragnarok story. So there is a lot of that, but I do think it suffers from a lot of Marvel's growing pains at this time. The interference from the studios, the trying to figure out what a post-Avengers looks like. Who shows up, who doesn't? Like, why don't they just call all of their new friends and have them come and help them solve their problems? It's Iron Man 3 suffers from this. This suffers from this. They'll address this eventually, but it's in the growing pains. So, but Rob, we talked about it a little bit. So you had a different sort of take on Thor: The Dark World now.
So I think there's two ways you can look at this movie now. If you choose to look at it through the lens of a phase 2 sophomore approach, it doesn't work out well at all. And it's got a lot of the same issues that Iron Man 3 has, but it's just even on its own. However, if you look at this movie through the Endgame lens, it becomes an entirely different experience. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what I would do. Like, if you want to be positive, if you look at it for what this movie actually ends up paying off at the end of this huge Thanos arc, oh, it's a totally different movie.
Especially with
so
coming
what
here
would
at
you
the
be doing?
end of Captain America Brave New World, which does the same thing for Incredible Hulk. Like, this is the two pieces are like in conversation in a way that I really never expected them to be.
I don't believe in time travel. It was not me urinating on the baton. I'm saying that the horses in the race or other people would have. Just want to be clear on specifics, because Rob has given us a very high bar with that long discussion of the history and the physics of a baton. But there are two things I want to say to this. One is that I definitely agree with that kind of thinking. Like, for example, I think that on its own, Attack of the Clones is just an objectively bad movie in terms of like writing, dialogue, things like that. I think lots of people enjoy it, and that's great, and I don't ever want to take anything away from it. I just don't think it's very good. But I think certainly it plays a very important part in the overall Star Wars story. And I think we're going to kind of come to a similar place on this one in terms of like, yeah, it does have some good moments. As I said, I don't believe in time travel, but I'm going to look into the future and predict that in an episode that has certainly not already been recorded, this is purely prediction, we're going to talk about how if you understand the events of Ragnarok, in which we learn that Odin is not a reliable narrator, and then apply that back to this and think every time Odin is giving exposition that he's an unreliable narrator, that actually changes the movie a lot and makes it a lot more interesting. I think that's someone later fixing a bad movie, but it does help to make this movie a lot more fun. But the other thing I was going to say is I want people to understand that there's a way, I think, of being negative about a movie that is really not fun in terms of just being, oh my God, this sucks. This is terrible. Why do we have to watch this? I want people to know that I am so excited to rant about how bad this movie is every week. And to talk about the good parts. But like, there is a certain, have you guys ever seen the movie The Room?
No.
Oh, with what's his name?
Tommy Russo.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is perhaps the worst 2 hours of cinema that have ever been put onto film.
Right.
And almost everyone I know had a fantastic time watching it.
Yes.
Because you watch it with your friends who are going to trash it together. Not in
so bad it's good line. Like, it's on
yeah,
the other side.
That's what I'm going to offer on this podcast. I'm going to find some positives, but he's not going to be complaining. He's going to be like, "Oh my God, the Frost Giants." I'm even mixing them up because I don't know who the Dark Elves are. No one knows.
Yeah.
I think there is. I think on revisiting the movie, I'm actually, as I said in the beginning, I'm surprised to be feeling better about the movie than I was, and I think it's because I have unconsciously or subconsciously inherited Rob's Part 2 optimism. That revisiting this movie after seeing all of the other movies that come after it give a certain frame that actually makes this movie more compelling to me and a hell of a lot more fun than I remember. The Darcy stuff is just awesome. Like that, I forgot how much like joviality was in this script. My memory of it was just the storm cloud over Charlie Brown. Like it just never leaves the MCU. And it turns out there's, besides the fact that the thing is constantly in a color palette that is equivalent to a 3-day bruise, it actually has a lot of sort of uplifting kind of funny stuff in it. And so I'm looking forward to really digging in. I can't wait because no one else wanted it. Matthew and I are doing the yeoman's work to get us to the other side of this movie. You're welcome.
I hope that you have the same experience I had, because one of the things that if you just listen to Iron Man 3, as much as I hate the mustard suit and I hate the illogical plot, I found renewed interest in the banter between the characters. And so you're going to find gems. Like that's exactly what I just experienced with this. So I wish you well.
Well, and I think that's one of the most interesting things about this experience of watching the movie in such small chunks is that I can have an overall impression that the movie is not great, but episode to episode, have a hell of a lot of fun talking about it. I've been listening to you guys talk about, to the banter point of Tony and the kid, that I had completely forgotten how great it is. I'd completely forgotten the Spud cannon. Like, all of that stuff is joyous. It's great. They're little bits of gems, like you say, and I think this movie has them too.
Well, and I think I get where you're coming from, and I do agree with it, because I think there's an extent to which, like, if you imagine a certain experience that is in very, like, you go, there's a restaurant you love, but the music is terrible, or, like, there's some good experience, but you're getting punched in the head once or twice every 5 minutes. You can take that for 5 minutes, and it's fine. And you're like, okay, I got punched in the head once in these scenes, but it was generally okay. Because I think Thor, the original, is a much better movie. But while me and Andy were taking it apart, discussing it minute by minute, I convinced myself that this was like a work of epic Shakespearean glory with a punch in the head every now and then. And then I rewatched it and I was like, oh, this is not a good movie. So I definitely think we're going to have that. I think we're going to have that moment of finding some good in these things and making it okay to not like it, and then also being very okay. But I also think, Pete, as much as I understand and respect your artistic process, I think there's a part of you that when hears someone be super negative about it, you might want to try even harder to find the positive. So I'm not going to tell you when, but sometime in these 24 episodes, I think it's possible I'm going to find something really good, and I'm going to call your bluff. And I'm going to say, oh, yep, this was really good. This was really good. Just to see if you're able to maintain it. Or there's that party that's like, oh, God, no, I can't do this. I can't. It's bad. It's bad, Matthew. So,
I can't wait.
There is no woke mind virus, but there's a dark world virus.
There's a dark world mind virus. Yeah.
Well, as sort of the hosts that kind of control the format of the show, like Rob and I have a specific thing that we do. Can you give people who haven't listened to the two of you together, even, which you haven't done a lot of.
We've never listened to the two of us together.
Right. So can you give us a little example of, like, what is your sort of format approach? Like, how are things going to change for people who are just coming off of Iron Man 3 and going into Marvel Movie Minute or the Dark World?
I'm so glad you asked. Matthew?
You asked the anarchist when I had this question. So I think that we're not going to have as much of a core structure as much as that we're going to have certain elements that we always try to hit, and elements that are going to be, different depending on what we're getting in those minutes. And I'll say, for example, I think one of the key ways that both of us want to approach this movie is through the characters. Each of the characters is having a particular journey. And so a lot of times we're going to start by talking about, okay, what was Loki doing in these 5 minutes? What was Thor doing in these 5 minutes? What was the criminally underutilized, because we can't see his face or understand his voice, Christopher Eccleston as Malekith doing in these 5 minutes? And from there, then go to, like, what are some of the implications for the rest of the movie? I think one thing we're going to be drawing upon a lot is, what does this all mean for the rest of the MCU? Both what does this mean for the rest of the MCU, and how does what's happening in the rest of the MCU affect this? For example, that Ragnarok discussion that I think we had about, is Odin a reliable narrator? And are the Dark Elves maybe not as, not as bad as we're told, because they're, whatever Odin's narrative is and stuff like that. So I think those are going to be some of the core ideas. One thing we've pointed out is that, unlike a lot of you all, I do not have any kind of background in understanding film. And so if you listen to my podcast with Andy for Thor, the original, there were a lot of times where Andy would, use a lot of film technique to talk about how this particular camera angle would be interesting, and how this particular shot, which referenced a thing that Hemingway did, and referenced not Hemingway, who's the Hemingway type movie guy? Hitchcock. Thank you. Again, proving my point. Would talk about this, and I would go, Andy, I have no idea what you're talking about. So this time it's going to be, let's teach Matthew about movie making. Pete is going to point out some of those things that some of the audience might understand, a lot of them might not, and we're going to help me understand them better, help the audience understand them better, and talk about, like, how these are not just kind of random things. These are choices the director, the cinematographer, the costume people are making. How does that add to the story?
All of that is true. Yeah.
All right. That sounds very exciting. I as someone who is a Marvel fan and interested to hear these conversations, I like to get episodes early. And I also like them without ads. Is there any way, Pete, that you would know that I could maybe get access to these Marvel Movie Minute episodes in that particular format, the way I want it?
Unbelievable, Kyle, that you would ask that. The synchronicity of that question and the answer that I already have on deck happening back to back is extraordinary. MarvelMovieMinute.com redirects to our landing page for the site. Supporting membership there gets you early episodes, gets you ad-free episodes, and other perks as we see them, like our double secret and triple secret Discord channels in our True Story Discord server. We'd love to have you there talking about these movies. And so we're also, we'll look at various member online events. We'd like to get people together to talk about these things. So we're excited about what we have to come. But we'd love you to support the whole team. Even he will not be named, Andy Nelson, who is also on the team, but didn't want to be a part of either of these two movies. And so he's not here. It supports all of us to keep the lights on in the show, and to keep it clipping along at a brisk pace. Thank you for your support. I'm excited. But bottom line is, I'm thrilled to take on this movie. I'm thrilled that we're going to be talking about it. I'm thrilled to be able to do a show with Matthew. We have never done a show together. I've never been paired up together, and so far, so great. I'm really excited about what we're working on to bring the dark world to light.
Yeah, I do think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I had a great time having Pete as a guest on a couple of my podcasts. He apparently had such a good time that he has mentally blocked out that experience entirely. But we have coordinated on those a couple times. We are in danger of speaking a good deal, so we always like the audience interaction to help us stay on track. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think one of the other great things about this is that from here, we do start to get into some of the really great MCU movies. And so I'm sort of thinking of this as the opening act. Like this is, we got to get through this, but we're going to get through this together. And so, friends, if you think that there's a lot to be found in Thor: The Dark World, then we have Pete. And Pete's going to help you, and I'm going to help you through that. But if you're just bearing down, if you're just like, I'm a completionist, and I make myself watch this movie because I want to watch all of them, but I know it's not going to be good, I'm going to be holding your hand. Every time you get punched in the head, I'll get punched in the head, and we'll talk about it, and we'll laugh about it. And we'll convince Pete he's actually being punched in the head too.
This character's at bearing down, Matthew, that it's like the dark world is a hemorrhoid on the MCU. It is just rotten illusion. And so get ready, everybody, for season 8 of the Marvel Movie Minute.
So, Rob, do you have any last minute advice for these two as they're about to take on this monumental task?
I was thinking of what my preparation H joke was going to be, but I lost it. I will admit, I kind of went sideways there. No, you know what? Look,
if you find yourself infected by the ether, please see your
new sponsor to the Marvel Movie Minute.
Yeah.
Look,
do you ever get that red crispy feeling
where I'm surrounded by people much younger than me? I constantly joke about feeling like an old person. So I really appreciate you all letting me feel the youth of my life at the moment.
You're welcome. Look after just the experience we just had, I mean, the greatest thing you love about this, at least for the Thanos saga, right? The Infinity Saga. Every single thing, even the dips in that journey, where this goes. The joy of this story. So I think there is value in discussing every turn and every twist. And so it's wonderful that you get to do that. 100%. I'm looking forward to it.
Agreed.
As the stewards of the sons of Howard, now passing on to the son of Odin, we wish you good luck in your trip as you travel backwards in the MCU timeline, but forwards in our timeline. But we don't like to talk about time travel. So good luck, and we'll be listening along. And I hope the audience will stay along and see what you come up with.
Thank you so much, guys. Your able hosting of Iron Man 3 is what allows us to be here today.
Very much so. Very much so.
All right. So I guess then from us, I guess I'll have to say, enough said.
Bye.
Live long and prosper.
I got punched in the head.